From the creepy swamps deep in the heart of Cajun country, I welcome you to Fave Five From Fans, the podcast where I, Jamie Ray, your humble host, invite a friend of mine to create a list of 5 of their favorite things that we have a shared interest in, be it movies, books, TVs, toys, or whatever. Next, we sit down to compare and contrast, dissect and disseminate our choices for you, the listening audience. We'll start off with some honorable mentions, those selections that just didn't make the Fave 5, and then trade off our choices backwards from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We'll be discussing everything from alien invasions to zombie attacks, Rom the Space Knight to musical numbers, Edgar Allan Poe to Stephen King, both literary and adaptations. All that's left for you is to decide who's right, who's wrong, and will we still be friends after all this. I can't wait to get started, so please sit back, strap in, and get ready for this episode of Fave Five From Fans. Hello, and welcome to this episode of Fave Five From Fans. I'm so excited to have one of the 2 people that I talk about in my intro, one of the persons that gave me the genesis of this show. I'm talking about my bud, Kevin Cinquemano. Hi, Kevin. Welcome to the show.
James, thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you, sir.
So when you say Genesis, that means I'm your God? Is that what you're
that's exactly what it means.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Exactly.
Thank you. Yes.
Kevin
I didn't want to have to smote you or anything like that.
Oh, no, please don't. Please don't. Don't send another virus down here.
Yes, exactly.
Kevin is one of the 2 people that I talk about in my intro that we used to go to Star Trek conventions together. And we would spend a lot of time having what's your favorite and what would you do and would you conversations.
Oh my,
never come up.
Not the $1 million thing, please.
That's the $1 million show. But we had a lot of time and had a lot of laughs together. And so I'm very excited to have him on the show. And we're going to talk about one of our favorite actors in the entire world. And I did put some handcuffs on him. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. But Kevin, first of all, tell us a little bit about you and why you're the person to be on this show.
Well, my name's Kevin Cinquemano. I'm from Lake Charles. Self-employed, own Paper Heroes in Lake Charles, a comic book gaming store. I think the reason I'm for this is us doing all the conventions back in the day. One of the celebrities that I liked a lot, and you and Chuck also liked a lot, was Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
And getting into his career, watching what he's done, he's always been entertaining. He's always been fun. Seeing him on stage, how he interacts with fans, made me, and I'm sure you guys, like him even more.
Oh, yeah. Never got to see him, though. Do you realize that?
No, yes, you did.
You've seen him twice for me.
I thought you and Chuck were at that convention with Ted Raimi. It was Bruce Campbell.
Nope.
And wow, I had it in my head all this week when I was preparing for this that I could have swore that you and Chuck were at that convention.
No, 19 years ago, on the weekend of Abby's first birthday, is when you went and took my Briscoe County custom action figure and had it signed.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, and then years later, you got a book signed for me somewhere else.
Wow.
Yep. So,
well, this story I'm about to tell, I just assumed for some reason that you guys were there. One of the things that made me like him even more, I was at a convention. He was on stage, and there was a guy a few rows in front of me, big fella, and he looked like a nice old country boy. He had overalls on and red hair. And Bruce got on stage, and as soon as he got on stage, he noticed that guy. Mm-hmm. And he picked him out, and he was like, basically saying, "Oh, you're a big old boy, don't get too upset." And he started just riffing with the guy.
Right.
And the whole time, every once in a while, he'd go back to him, and he'd give him the thumbs up, like, "We okay? We okay?" And this guy, he was so excited. He was so happy. Bruce was just making his day.
Oh, sure.
And he was just giggling and laughing and enjoying it. And Bruce could tell, and he just played off. And it made me think that that's really nice. He he knew how to interact with everybody, and he picked that guy out, and that guy will remember that for the rest of his life.
You're right. You're right.
I thought it was great.
That's cool.
That's one of the main stories I remember from Bruce, at least meeting him.
Yeah.
And I saw him. There was one time it was at a convention. He was signing, and you could sit with him and take a picture. And when I sat down next to him, this was about the time that you remember that the movie, The Wild Wild West, came out.
Yeah,
and, Will Smith was Jim West
and Kevin Kline, I think.
Yes. And I sat with Bruce, and I was like, he was talking, I was like, man, you'd have been great as Jim West if they'd have, that movie had been great. He goes, he just looked at me and goes, yeah, that was never going to happen. I was like, yeah, probably, but just saying, you'd have been great. But he was always fun.
Yeah. And you got me that excellent picture because I made him a custom Comet to go along with that custom action figure. Right. And it's sitting right there at the table, and he's giving me 2 finger guns straight into the camera. And I was like, man, that is my favorite picture.
Oh, yeah. He's the best.
We have to give a shout out to 2 of my friends, Peggy and John, who are also both huge Bruce Campbell fans. Anytime I see something like on Facebook or whatever, I tag them in it too. So hello, ladies. How are y'all? So if you haven't guessed already, today's episode is going to be about our Fave 5 Bruce Campbell appearances. But I hampered Kevin by saying anything outside of the Evil Dead world. Otherwise, we'd have had, out of the 5, probably 3 or 4 things would have been Evil Dead. And everybody knows him from that, and everybody loves him from that. But I wanted to focus on his other works. So when we sat down, I said, you can pick from anything else he does, any TV shows. Just tell me what your other favorite performances are. And I asked him to give me 5 and an honorable mention if he's got one. And you have an honorable mention, right?
Yes.
So Kevin is going to focus mainly on television episodes. And mine's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag. I'm going to do movies and TVs and maybe something you weren't expecting. But this is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I hope to learn something about Bruce and about you, Kev, that I didn't know before we sat down.
Sure.
So if you're ready, I'd like you to go ahead. You give me your honorable mention.
Well, my honorable mention is... it was a TV show that he did. It was called Burn Notice. And he was a secondary character. He played an ex-Special Forces CIA type agent named Sam Axe. And he was great on that show.
Trained in guerrilla warfare, a deadly force with weapons and explosives, and a physique that can only be described as adequate.
Commander Axe, you have anything to say before we begin?
Can I have a beer?
Before Sam Axe took his talents to South Beach, he took it to the bad guys in South America.
Man, that felt good.
Bruce Campbell stars in a USA television event, Burn Notice, The Fall of Sam Axe. World premiere Sunday, April 17th at 9.
He was a laid back, you never would have known he was a special agent or had this past. He would kind of come in and help the main character with anything he needed done. And he was just fun. He was just a great, great character.
And he liked his mixed cocktails.
Yes, he did. And he always wore it. Was it the Hawaiian shirt?
I think you're right. Yeah.
He always had the Hawaiian shirt on. And he would always flirt. He'd always flirt with Jeffrey Donovan's mom, who was the main actor. He was always hitting on the mom. He
did like the older ladies. He scored a couple times, got him a car out of the deal.
Yes, exactly. But that would have been one that's been my honorable mention, that whole series.
That's cool. Now, did you ever see the movie or whatever, the Sam Axe movie?
No, and as I was doing research for this, I saw that pop up, and for some reason, I don't know how I missed that.
Me too.
Missed that.
So I've got it down to go back and watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great. He was a very good supporting character, and he had just a huge bag of tricks.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's a great one. Well, I actually have 2. Well, let's see. I have 5 honorable mentions.
Okay.
But the first one works out pretty well, and it's going to be 3 different appearances of Bruce in 3 different Spider-Man movies. So, of course, we remember in Spider-Man, he was the ring announcer who changed the name to Spider-Man when Peter Parker went up to do wrestling. And I can't remember what Peter said he wanted to be called. He was like, no, that's stupid. It's the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yes.
And then we jump to Spider-Man 2, where he is playing the snooty usher to Mary Jane's play, and he keeps Peter from getting in. And then we see him once again in Spider-Man 3 as the maitre d'. And we all know that this is because he is such a great friend with the Raimi brothers.
Right.
And so Sam had to put him in there. And I just absolutely loved the way that he was in all 3 movies, but as 3 different people.
Yeah, I was that Spider-Man. Was it 2 was on yesterday on TV, and I had to wait for the scene when Peter walks up to go to the play, and he's late, of course. And the way Bruce just plays it, and he has the 2 signs, and he just kind of puts his hand out like, "Shh, be quiet, don't talking, play is in progress." But he's just so perfect in any any few minutes he gets in any movie or TV show. He's great.
Yes, I
always kind of compare him to a Bill Paxton type guy.
Oh, yeah.
Bruce, to me, Bruce makes anything he's in better. And
yes.
I've always found Paxton was like that. Mm-hmm. No matter what the role was, big or small, the movie was better because he was in it.
You are so right.
And Bruce, that's what Bruce had.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally agree with the Spider-Man movies. Those were fun. And didn't they grew up together, right? In Detroit in the Detroit
I'm
area,
not sure from where, but yes, I do believe, because he was, did he work on the original student version of Evil Dead?
Yes, that's what I read. Yes. Mm-hmm. And I think I read that it was the Raimis, and I think they all grew up in that Detroit area or somewhere around there, and they were friends. So that's where that came about.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. So that's 3 of them right there.
Yeah.
The next one is from one of my guilty pleasures. I'm talking about the 1996 movie Escape from LA. It was a different kind of Snake Plissken movie, and it was kind of eclectic, kind of strange in some ways, but when Snake and Talima, I think was her name, get captured, and he wake up and they're being examined by the Surgeon General of Beverly Hills, as played by a heavily reworked over Bruce.
Yes.
And it's such a weird, very small part, very small scene, but he's basically going to be harvesting different things. And one of the best lines is when he looks over Snake, and of course he's got the patch on one eye, and he makes the comment, "Oh, what a beautiful blue eye."
Yes, exactly.
It's true, he only gets one.
Yes.
So I just love that. That's probably one of the best. That and the scene with Pam Grier are probably the 2 best scenes for me in that entire movie.
I've never seen that movie.
Oh,
I saw the first one, the Escape from New York.
Yeah.
And when I was looking at his IMDb, I saw that he was in Escape from LA. So I looked it up, and I watched that scene when Kurt and the lady is tied up, and he does that, what a beautiful blue eye, and the way he does what he does with the girl, and
he grabs her breasts and
grabs her breasts. Yeah.
"Whoa, they're real!"
Yes. He's just got the weirdest. It's like he's had 50 plastic surgeries.
Yes.
So it's just the weirdest look.
He doesn't emote on his face very much because it can't move.
He can't. And everybody, all his henchmen and henchwomen or whatever, they're all just hideous. And
oh my gosh,
he's done multiple surgeries on them, and that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was a good one. And like I said, I've watched it several times, but it doesn't hold the same appeal to me that the first movie did.
Well, I never watched it because I always heard such bad things about it, and I liked the first one a lot. And I was like, well, everybody dogs L.A., so I was like, well, I'm not going to watch it. I just never did.
Well, and some of the things about that movie are that they go a little too out there. You know, there's a scene with him surfing with Peter Fonda, and there's a couple of other things that it's like, oh, okay, where did Snake learn to surf? You know,
as one would do in an apocalyptic
exactly.
scenario. You go surfing with Peter Fonda.
Of course, you and I will always have the memory where we got to ride the escalator in Atlanta, where they filmed the robbery scene that was deleted from Escape from New York back when we went to Dragon Con that time.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yep. I have that old picture of that.
Oh, yeah.
But so anyway, so that's my number 2, and my number 1 favorite honorable mention comes from a TV show called Psych, and it played on the USA Network, and it was basically about 2 friends, Sean and Gus. Where Sean pretends to be a psychic detective, but in fact, he's just incredibly able to pick up on details and remember things. So he pretends he's, going to be a psychic, and Gus is his friend. So they have an episode called A Nightmare on State Street, where Gus keeps having all of these nightmares, and they all end with Sean leaving him. Because Sean leaves him a lot. It's like in a lurch. And so he wakes up from the nightmare, and they're in this room, and Sean's there. And then you turn to the side, and there's Bruce. And Bruce is playing his dream therapist. And it's a great episode because there's all these little things in it. Like at one point, he has this huge fly swatter, and he swats them with it. But the best thing about it was the name. His name is Dr. Ashford N. Simpson.
Oh, no.
Like Ashford Simpson.
Nice.
Yeah, and I always just love that one. And so that had to be an honorable mention for sure.
Well, I'm just a dream catcher in human form with a chin that's coveted around the world. I'm just glad that you were able to identify the source of your nightmares.
I need to take a leak.
Well, it's great to see you, Doctor.
Yeah, it's been good for you to see me, too. Let's do it again. Burton, see you in your dreams. P.S. Come get some.
So with that,
I've heard good things about that show.
Oh, it's a wonderful show. As a matter of fact, Lily and I are working on an episode right now with our 5 favorites episodes. And it's one of those shows that when you start watching it, you just want to see the next episode and the next and the next.
I've heard nothing. I've read nothing but good things about it. It's just one I never caught. I used to like the young guy, the African-American actor that I don't know which character he played.
Yeah, he played Gus.
Gus. He was on The West Wing. And
okay.
I used to love The West Wing, and he was one of the main characters on The West Wing, and he was really good on that.
Yeah.
But so that's a show I definitely need to check out.
You should check it out because they have incredible chemistry together.
Good.
They play off of each other so well.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, once you start watching it, they have so many winks and homages to other stuff. They have a whole episode that's based off of Clue, their 100th episode, and they have 3 of the actors from the Clue movie are in the episode. It's just wonderful.
Nice.
But yeah, definitely check that out.
Good.
They're streaming somewhere. I think Hulu maybe or Amazon.
Yeah, if it was a USA show, it's probably on somehow. On there.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well then we are now ready to get to the real meat of this show. If you're ready, why don't you go ahead and give me your number 5 favorite Bruce Campbell appearance?
Okay. My number 5 favorite Bruce Campbell appearances was his role as Autolycus. I'm going to break this one up into a 5A and a 5B.
I've never had one of those before.
Yeah.
A and a B. Okay. So is this one A or is this one B?
This will be B.
Okay.
This will be 5B. It's from Hercules, The Legendary Journey, Season 2. episode 1. The episode was called The King of Thieves.
Okay.
And he plays the character Autolycus, which was a master thief. And in this episode, he steals a chest of jewels from a king, but Hercules' friend Iolaus gets framed for it, and he gets put in prison, and it's going to be executed. And Hercules' job was to find Autolycus and bring him back and cop to the crime, so Iolaus would be let free. But it was our first introduction in that world. Bruce playing Autolycus. And as you know, Hercules was created by Sam Raimi, and can't think of the other guy's name that was Lucy Lawless's husband. And I just found that character a lot of fun.
Yeah.
He played it really well. And the 5A is him playing the same character, but it was in Xena Warrior Princess, season 1, episode 17, called The Royal Couple of Thieves.
Oh, okay.
And this one, he steals a valuable chest, which had supposedly the most powerful weapon in the world. From a warlord had it. And Xena is trying to find the chest because it belonged to some friends of hers. And it's the whole back and forth of Xena basically grabbing Autolycus and saying, we got to find this chest from my friends. And what I liked him better, why I put this one as 5A instead of 5B, is I think he worked better on Xena than Hercules, in that he played well with Hercules. They had a nice chemistry. But I found that Bruce playing off of Lucy Lawless worked better.
Okay. Was there a little sexual tension there?
Yeah, because you know how Bruce is. And how he can play those characters. So in being with Xena, he was able to make innuendo and do certain things that make certain references. And of course, she would slap him around. And, and to me, that was a lot more fun.
Right.
And he couldn't really do that with Hercules. And to me, that worked out much better with Xena.
Cool. And he made a lot of appearances on both shows, right?
Oh, yeah. He was always kind of a recurring character. He would show up maybe a couple of times a year or so, a few times a year.
Do you know if he was in, I don't know which series, I think it was Xena, the episode that takes place like in modern times and they're different people?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I know that's a good question. I don't know for sure.
I saw that episode. I haven't seen many of them, but I've seen that episode, and I thought that was it's kind of like the DS9 episode where they all are living like in the 50s or something.
Right.
Yeah,
I got
that. So.
What I did like about this one was when they opened up the chest. Of course, this was a big shout out to Raiders of the Lost Ark because they opened up the chest and a blinding light came out of it. And Xena tells Autolycus and Gabrielle not to fear.
Okay.
And this light comes out and it kills the attacker, the people that are attacking Autolycus and Xena and Gabrielle. And of course, it kills the attacker, and everything's fine. The chest closes up. And at the end of the episode, Autolycus opens up the chest, and there's something in it. And he goes, "What is this?" And it's some plates. And he reads it, and he goes, "Thou shalt not covet. Thou shalt not steal," etc. And he goes, and Autolycus he says, "Who could live by these rules?" And it was so perfect. So it was obviously the Ark of the Covenant.
That's cool.
It was really well done. I like that.
Yeah, I like that. I never really got into those two, but the episodes that I have seen, I did enjoy. And
it was real campy, and the way it was done, but it was entertaining.
Yeah. Well, cool. That's a good one, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I will come back with my number 5, which is a movie that you may be surprised is on this list, but I'm even more surprised that it's on this list. Okay. Because of all the things that I've seen of his. I remember this coming on the Sci-Fi Network and watching it and liking it, but I rewatched it for this show and I was amazed at how I really enjoyed his performance in it. And I'm talking about 2002's Terminal Invasion.
CQ1, this is Allen Municipal Airport. Come in, please. If anyone can hear me, we have an emergency crisis that requires immediate law enforcement personnel.
What just happened?
Bruce Campbell.
They could
all be aliens. Star Trek's Chase Masterson for the first time anywhere. Terminal Invasion, tonight at 9 on Sci-Fi.
Now, this is the one with Chase Masterson, where Bruce is a convict who's being taken from one facility to another by two officers that get into a wreck because of a bad storm. And they end up at this terminal where Chase Masterson, she's the pilot and does a wonderful job. I was, again, so surprised at how much I enjoyed this. Well, unbeknownst to them, there are aliens disguised as humans among the group. And they're snowed in, and Bruce and them have to figure out, first of all, he has to get loose, and nobody trusts him because he's a prisoner. And I can't tell you, can't quite put my finger on it, but I really enjoyed it. And after I went back and went on IMDb, I saw that it was directed by Sean Cunningham, which really surprised me because he does all of the Friday the 13th stuff. And so it really kind of threw me that he had done this movie. And I guess maybe without knowing, some of the subconscious things that he does on those films came through on this one. And so anyway, I really enjoyed it.
I've never seen that. I'm going to have to check that out. I've never seen that movie.
I actually have it on. I had recorded it off of Sci-Fi when it came on. Right. And I had transferred it to DVD at some point. So I knew I had it. I just hadn't watched it probably since I transferred it, which was probably 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
So it was from was it a 90s movie or
2002?
Oh, 2002. Yeah.
2002. So anyway, so that's it. Great. So that's Terminal Invasion was my number 5.
Yeah, she was fun. Remember when we see her at conventions at Chase? She was really nice, sweet.
Yes,
really
gorgeous. Yeah, yes, but she was so incredibly gracious and approachable.
Oh yeah,
and I loved her character on DS9. I thought if anybody got the graduating award of person who's most improved, it would be her character. I mean, she went from basically serving drinks, in a bar, to the end where she's become this, this fully developed character with she loved Rom, and it was a great character. I really
it could have easily been a throwaway character that nothing would have come of it, but she made something of it. So,
she did. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, cool. Well, all right. Well, why don't you give me your number 4?
Okay. My number 4 is one I think is going to really surprise you because Bruce it's a very, very small role, but it's in what I consider probably the best season of television I've ever seen.
Oh.
It's Fargo, season 2, episode 5.
Wait, stop.
Yes. You're picking yourself up?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was laughing too much over that one. I love that. Okay, so start again. I won't laugh as much, but that's a great pull.
Yes, it's Fargo, season 2, episode 5. Title of the episode is The Gift of the Magi.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know if you're familiar with the Fargo.
Yes, I loved that. That actually was on my short list.
Okay.
I loved that. I can't agree with you more. That was an incredible season. The first one was a great season. The third was a great season, but this one was just blows me away.
Yeah, I loved the first season. Thought it was amazing. It was one of the best. And then they came back with season 2, and I still think it's the best contained season of television I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And just because Bruce was in it, I had to put it in there.
Mm-hmm.
And he played it. The season takes place in 1979. Bruce plays presidential candidate Ronald Reagan.
Yes.
And he's coming through, campaigning through North Dakota. And the main character, Lou Sarverson, who's played by Patrick Wilson, who is a sheriff's deputy, he's tasked to be Reagan's escort, be on the security detail. And I just thought, and there's just the one scene where Bruce as Reagan goes to the bathroom, and Soverson follows him into the bathroom.
Right.
And they're both, using the bathroom, and Reagan kind of looks at him and he thanks Lou for his military service. They're kind of talking because Lou was in Vietnam. And he thanks him for it. And Lou he looks at Reagan and he tells him that Lou's wife is suffering from cancer. And he gets real serious and he asks Reagan, how can we cure the similar disease that's afflicting the world right now? And the way Bruce played it, it was just like, it was a perfect politician. He just kind of looks at him like, I don't have an answer for that question. So he kind of smiles, nods, and walks away.
Oh.
And it's just it was just so perfect. It's just such a great season. And I had to put that on my list.
Yeah, that was and he pulled him off really well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I loved that season and those appearances, And when he would come onto stage and he was talking to the crowds, yes. He was really doing a great job as Reagan. Oh, yeah, and he has that look. He has that square jaw, and it was perfect. Yeah, it really was. Good pick. Yeah. So for my number 4, I blurred the lines a little bit with our hampering here, where I said we couldn't pick anybody from the Evil Dead trilogy. But I didn't say we couldn't pick a movie in which he was mistaken for his character from the Evil Dead. Okay. And of course, I am talking about 2007's My Name is Bruce.
In the mining town of Gold Lick, the year was 1870. The Chinese came to work and rid themselves of poverty. Then one night it happened, disaster struck. A rumble from below, the Chinese were stuck. An old Chinaman prayed for the loved ones he so cherished, asking the saint of Kurd to protect the souls who perished. Gwandi is his name. Gwandi is his name. Gwan you, Gwan me, Gwandi. Gwandi is his name.
Where he plays the actor who Bruce Campbell, and a kid comes to him basically to come to his hometown and fight a real monster that's been let loose from, I believe it was a mine shaft. And Bruce thinks it's a job, and he shows up and he does all the crap. And then when he figures out it's real, that's it. It hits the fan. So have you seen this one?
Oh, I love that movie.
Yes.
I love that movie. It's so great. And you know what it kind of reminded me of? Remember the original Fright Night?
Oh, yeah.
Well, and so you had Roddy McDowall's character who was the host of that horror movie special that came on TV. And so when they had the real vampire next door, the boys go to him thinking, well, he'll know what to do. Yeah. He knows monster movies and he has no clue. And that's what this movie reminded me, well, Bruce will know what to do.
Yeah.
No, he has no clue. He doesn't know what's going on.
And I love the fact that in this movie, there's scenes of another movie that he's filming. Do you remember there's a little thing there where he gets the call and they're all like space troopers and there's a green alien bug.
Oh, vaguely.
Yeah, the scene like where they kill it and it spits green stuff all over him. It's and of course, Ted Raimi, not one, not two, but 3 different roles in this movie.
Wow.
He plays his agent, and then he plays, I remember a guy painting on a sign or something, and then he plays another guy named Wing.
Okay.
So, you can't have enough Raimi in one show.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Well, another movie that was, remember that it was the Trek movie that, who was it? Was it Ron Moore? No, not Ron Moore. Mark Altman. And it was about Shatner was in it and he was playing himself.
Yeah.
Oh God, Free Enterprise. Free Enterprise. And so they think Shatner is going to obviously be like a Kirk. And he's just goofy and kind of weird and not very self-confident, the exact opposite of what they thought. That's kind of what My Name is Bruce kind of reminded me of also.
Oh, yeah.
Where you meet the real guy and they always say don't meet your heroes because you're going to be disappointed. So that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
And one of the things I loved about this, if you remember when Bruce comes to the town and the kid's name is Jeff, and he goes into Jeff's room and there's this huge mixture of real posters and just different kind of bits and pieces of movies that he's been in, and it's filled with other posters of the fake movies that Bruce has done in this continuity. And there's actually a Briscoe County Jr. costume there. Oh, nice. And I heard in the commentary that's actually Bruce's spare costume, and he brought it to help fill it in, you know? So wow. I thought that was very cool. But yeah, I love that movie. And I actually didn't see it for years. Like I said, it came out in 2007, and I don't think I saw it till maybe like 4 or 5 years ago.
I think I saw it maybe right before that. It wasn't long after it came out. It may have come on TV or something. I don't know when it would have been, but yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I'd love to hear what he thinks of that. I bet you a part like that, he probably would he had a blast playing.
Oh, I have to think
he can totally just be opposite what everybody expects. I would think that would have been a fun part for him.
Oh yeah. I agree. Did you ever see that show Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs?
I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen that, but I know
he plays the mayor in that.
Okay.
And I think he probably had a lot of fun with that episode of that show too, because he really plays a different, role. But anyway, so okay, well then that sets us up for your number 3.
Okay. And I know you're going to like this one because you know what a big X-Files fan I am. So, yeah. So my number 3 Fave Five for Bruce Campbell is season 6 X-Files, episode 7. Title of the episode is called Terms of Endearment.
What kind of monster
Take my baby!
steals the unborn?
This isn't an X-File.
Scully, this is a classic case of demon fetal harvest.
You're not suggesting that he is himself the devil?
The X-Files, an all-new episode Sunday at 9, 8 Central on Fox.
Okay.
Yeah, and Bruce plays a character named Wayne Weinsider, and he's works for an insurance company where he's a traveling insurance agent who goes around, and when you sign up for life insurance or whatever, they have to be a physical, so he'd be the guy drawing your blood.
Okay.
Well, he's a demon, and the very first scene of the episode, he's in a doctor's office with his wife. His wife's pregnant. Doctor's showing him the ultrasound, and he notices that there's 2 small protrusions on the fetus's skull. And Bruce just gets a weird look on his face. That night, they're both asleep, and his wife wakes up, and there's a huge demon at the foot of her bed, flames everywhere. She's screaming, and the demon takes out the baby. And she wakes up, and he's waking her up, and he's on the side of her, and he's like, what's wrong? And she says, I just had this horrible nightmare that there was a demon and took our baby. And he goes, no, you were dreaming. And they pull the blanket back, and there's blood everywhere, and the baby's gone.
Wow.
Well, his character of the demon, what he would do, being a traveling insurance agent, he would meet different women, and his whole goal was to have a normal baby.
Mm-hmm.
So, but being a demon, he would always impregnate these girls, these women, and they would end up being a demonic child, and he would take the babies and kill them and bury them. And he would, the women would think they miscarried or whatever. But what I liked about this character, it's so opposite of everything we've seen. He's so milquetoast. He's this insurance agent, and he's real calm. He's not clever. He's not very smart. He doesn't play very smart. He's not very funny. He's unnoticeable. And it's the exact opposite of what Bruce normally plays.
Yeah.
And it was really, when I first saw it, when it first came out, I was a huge X-Files fan. And when I found out he was going to be in an episode, I thought, oh, this is peanut butter and chocolate.
Exactly.
You got Bruce in an X-Files episode? Come on, I'm in. And I remember when it first aired, I was like, yeah, it was okay. You know, I think I set myself up too much.
Yeah.
I rewatched it a few weeks ago, and I guess years difference, you get older, and it's really good. I really appreciate it much, much more than when I first saw it. And
well, I'm going to have to go back and watch that one because I actually don't even remember that episode.
Yeah, because if you remember, he was also married. He had a second wife in another town, and she was pregnant.
Oh,
and
traveling salesman.
Well, her baby her whole goal is she's actually, we don't know, but she's a demon also. And she wants a demon baby, which is the exact opposite of what Bruce wants.
Oh, wow.
So it's really, really well done. I just really like it. And the one little trivia thing, I think I like the movie, The Great Santini.
Yes.
Well, I was doing research, and when I watched the episode, I was like, where do I know that girl from that's playing his wife, the first wife?
The human baby wife?
The human baby, no, the demon, his first wife that had the demon baby.
Okay.
And I was like, where does she? So I look up on IMDb. She was the daughter in The Great Santini.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I thought I recognized her from something. But
yeah, you love that movie.
Oh, I love that movie. That movie's so well done.
Yeah.
I love it. And
well, that's a great one. I'm going to have to go back and watch that episode.
Yeah, there was a couple of trivia things from that I was reading about. There was a mother, they used her baby, a real life lady, they're going to use her baby in the show, just to have a baby. Mm-hmm. Well, she read the cursed birth scene, the whole thing about the baby, because when they pull out the baby, it has horns, right? And this lady, she read that in the script, and she was really religious. This is according to the trivia I read. So she was uncomfortable with them putting horns on her baby. So she withdrew her baby from being in the show.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, what could go wrong? So they said in the trivia I was looking at that the production staff for the X-Files, they said they found another baby in 45 minutes. I was like, did they still?
That's Hollywood, baby.
Yes, we can get anything you want.
Bring me a blue rhinoceros, a baby with horns, and some peanut butter.
Yes, and an orange Julius. And I was reading, they said it was the first time a cast member withdrew from scenes for religious reasons. And I was like, the X-Files did a lot of crazy stuff. I'm surprised that was the only time that was happened.
Yeah, that was a great show, man. That's a great show.
You remember that it was on Friday nights, the X-Files originally came on Friday, and Briscoe County played before the X-Files. Yeah, Briscoe County, the X-Files. And when I was reading about it, they said that Fox thought, well, Briscoe's going to be a successful show.
Yeah.
So this little X-File, and they thought, well, this is our star show as a Briscoe, and being the exact opposite.
Right.
Briscoe gets canceled. X-Files goes to superstardom, and they said a lot of the people that worked on Briscoe ended up working on the X-Files.
I did not know that.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Friday, get ready for 2 hours of heart-stopping adventure. First, a heavy metal madman is on the loose.
Get down, Briscoe County.
Can Briscoe send him to the scrap heap, or will County get cut down to size?
This is gonna be a real side-splitting experience.
On an all-new Briscoe County Jr. Then, the Cold War's most terrifying secret has been kept locked away. Until now.
FBI!
The X-Files after Briscoe County Jr.
Friday on Fox 29.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. So my number 3 is one that we've already touched on, but I like it maybe for a little bit of a different reason. So I also liked Burn Notice, where Commander Sam Axe, United States Navy, retired, is a friend and helps out a lot. But what I really enjoyed was Bruce Campbell playing Sam Axe, playing Chuck Finley.
Oh, that's right. He did do that. That's right.
And when I was looking this over, I made some of my favorite episodes, and almost every one of them was a Chuck Finley episode. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess, and he did everything. He was a lawyer, a cop, a doctor. a motivational speaker, homeowners association member. I mean, just all of this different stuff, and so, not to talk too much about it. We covered it already, but I really enjoyed him doing his Chuck Finley.
Well, you bring that up. I was reading about that character, and did you know that that character's name is based on a Major League Baseball player, Chuck Finley, I believe.
Oh, see, I had read that it was the name of a co-worker of his father. Now, maybe his father was a baseball player.
Maybe that was it. Oh, no. Yes, the co-worker. Maybe it was the co-worker was the baseball player.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
It had something to do with the baseball player Chuck Finley.
Oh, okay.
I believe. So, yeah, it had somehow with some sort of 6 degrees of separation somehow.
This is your American baseball. Yes, I like the sports where they throw the ball back to one another.
Exactly.
Yay, sports.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, so let's go to your number 2.
All right, I have just like with my number 5, I have for my number 2, Fave Five for Bruce Campbell, I have a 2B and a 2A.
Oh, you with your B's and your A's.
Well, that's as far as I can count in the alphabet, so I figured I got to use it as much as I can.
Get past 10, you got to take your shoes off, right?
Yeah,
just
Deanna's
like
a school teacher, and she still can't teach me past B, so I don't know what's going on.
Well, it is acceptable, sir. You go ahead with your 2B or not 2B.
Yes. My 2B is The Adventures of Briscoe County, the pilot episode.
This fall,
Here she comes.
there's a new name for adventure on television. Briscoe County Jr.
You care to try me?
He's all action.
You're not an outlaw.
No.
He's all excitement. And he's about to bust loose into your living room. Welcome to the Wild West Fox style. And now, the series premiere of The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
Yes.
That was a 2-hour premiere episode. And of course, we're all familiar with Briscoe. And the pilot episode, his father was killed by the John Bly and John Bly's gang while he was
What was his dad's name?
It was Briscoe County Sr.
Oh, that's right. I always forget that.
I know, that's a tough one. I had to look it up.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's good. And of course, Junior is hired by the so-called robber barons to bring the Bly and his gang to justice, and that becomes basically the overarching theme of the series. And one of the things I forgot about the pilot episode was that the actor R. Lee Ermey played Briscoe County Sr.
Yep.
I forgot all about that, and I was like, "Hey, R. Lee Ermey, love that guy."
Yeah, you love that guy.
Love that guy. I was like, so that was fun.
Yeah.
And what was also good, it introduced us to all the major characters for that show that we would get to know. And it was just a shame. That was a fun show. And I read that it started out really strong. Like the ratings were really, really high. And then each week progressively, it went down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that show.
Yeah.
With John Astin as the professor.
Yes.
And of course, Dixie Cousins, Kelly Rutherford.
Right.
And one of my favorites has got to be Lord Bowler.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he started off as a bad guy, and then, slowly they moved into them being, I guess you both call them bounty hunters.
Yes.
But, eventually, and I don't think he was in the first episodes either.
I don't know if he was in the pilot or not. He might have been, but
maybe so. But I love the way that they were able to do those different things together. And you could see as it progressed, Bowler became a good guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
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 And
they
then there was
out of kind of frenemies, and then they became, yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's a great pull, man. That first episode was awesome. You get to see the orb for the first time.
Yes, they introduced the orb, and I was reading that they had plans, like season 2, Briscoe was going to be a sheriff of a small town.
Oh.
And that was all the plans, but of course the show, by the end of season 1, its ratings were so low, they decided to cancel it.
Yeah, I remember when I was watching that show, I think that it came down to like a two-parter, and I was starting to hear things about how it was going to be canceled, and I was worried that it was going to end on a cliffhanger.
Yes.
But then they did come out with it the next time and finished it. Not where I would have liked to have. And that didn't come out on DVD for a while.
Oh, it wasn't. Yeah, because they said there was such a clamoring for it that they finally did it. It was probably about 6-7 years ago or so, maybe a little longer, that it eventually came out on DVD.
And I'm sure you probably bought it just as quickly as I did.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Going back to the X-Files, the thing connecting to Briscoe County, one of the directors, Kim Manners, he directed like a third of the episodes of Briscoe.
Oh, wow.
And he ended up being a major director on the X-Files.
Uh-huh.
And I was reading about he talked about Briscoe, and he said he credited that show. That was a training ground for him. And he said that helped him so much directing the X-Files. He said that training ground of being on Briscoe.
Yeah.
Really, really helped him a lot.
Wow, that's great. Yeah. That's a good one, man. That's a good one. All right, so 2A?
Yes. My episode 2A, Fave 5 for Bruce Campbell, is Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Now, what did I say?
But it's a TV show. It's a TV show. I found a loophole. I can throw it away.
No, you go right ahead. You never listen to anything I say anyway.
No. I thought we were just talking about the movies. It's Ash versus Evil Dead, Season 2, Episode 1. My titled episode is called Home.
Oh, this is a great episode.
Yes.
Go ahead, tell us about it.
Bruce plays Ash Williams. The episode begins, Ash and Pablo and Kelly, they're all vacationing in Jacksonville, of course, drinking and partying. And, of course, havoc ensues because Ruby, Lucy Lawless's character, I can't remember exactly what happened. The demons come back. So she tells him they have to go back to his hometown to form an alliance. Well, he goes home, brings Kelly and Pablo to his house. And, of course, we get introduced to Ash's dad, Brock Williams, who was played by Lee Majors.
That was so awesome.
Oh, that was that was like nerd boy-gasm right there.
That was so awesome. Man. Oh, he played that role to a T.
Oh, he was such a jerk. It was so great.
Oh, and that's see, there's a reason why I did, because we sit here and talk about the whole rest of it.
I rewatched it about a week or so ago, and I just love the scene when Brock, his dad, sees Ash's metal hand, and he asks him about it. He goes, "What does that thing do?" And he goes, and Ash goes, "It makes me better, stronger." And Brock goes, "Faster?" And then he just kind of, it's so great. And I love how Brock, he sees Kelly and he just starts making all these creepy sexual innuendos to Kelly.
Right.
It's just so great.
Yeah, he likes the older ladies too, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Oh, man, I tell you, when he was ready to leave that show, he left that show.
Oh, he did. Yeah, he left it in a big way.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was reading, they said that, I don't know if you remember, Pablo, he had drawn a sketch of Ruby's character.
Mm-hmm.
He was showing it to Brock, and it was just you couldn't make it out. It just was a horrible sketch. And Brock looks at him, he goes, "You're looking for Bigfoot?" And of course, the reference to the $6 million man.
Of course. Well, that's a great one, because we're actually working on an episode of Fave 5 with you, me, and our other buddy Chuck, where we're going to discuss our Fave 5 $6 Million Man episodes.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, that series, going back and watching some of that, 12-year-old Kevin compared to 54-year-old Kevin, and you watch some of those, and I can't wait for that podcast, because there's some things I noticed. I just want to really ask you guys and see if you noticed it.
If it's questions about the porn stash, I have no answer.
Oh my God. There's just a couple of other things I totally forgot or didn't notice when it first happened. So I can't wait for that. That's going to be fun.
That's going to be That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, I'm going to go to my number 2 now. And it's a show it's about a horse named Comet. And the guy who rides him, whose name escapes me right now, the show is called The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
What was his dad's name?
I'm not really sure. I think it was Arthur something.
Yeah, well, I think we can look that up on the internet one day.
Yeah, the internet's got everything.
Yeah,
you know. I know we just touched on it, and I tried to keep quiet, but I loved this show. Not just for the big sweeping stories that were going on. One of my favorite things were the little things, you know? Yeah. And I think actually that the first episode that Lord Bowler showed up in was episode 3. And that was the one with the mobile battle wagon called No Man's Land.
Oh yeah.
And that was the one that starred Denise Crosby. You know, where it was a town all women.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Yeah, and then so you had these cool little things like the next episode is called Briscoe and Jails Co. Just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But of all of the things that I remember in that show, and like, you know, you had the guest stars like Sheena Easton was in it.
That's right.
You know, she played Crystal Hawks.
Yes.
And then they had that Bounty Hunters convention episode where everybody is kind of like an Agatha Christie murder. But right. I looked and I couldn't find it. But to be honest with you, I didn't dig too deep. I should have. I'll tell you though, one of my favorite little nods in this whole show is when he meets a kid, and it's a very small little part. But the kid ends up frying some dough into a circle.
Oh.
And when he tells the kid, "See you later, kid. By the way, what's your name?" And he's like, "Duncan." Yes. And I'm like, oh, man. And that just stuck with me. You know, I love that.
That's amazing, Jamie. Right before you were telling that popped in my head.
Oh, yeah?
Exactly. I was getting, if you weren't going to mention it, I was going to mention it about the kid named Duncan with the fried dough. Wasn't it Lloyd Bowler that ate it?
I think so. I think you're right.
I think the kid goes up to him and goes, "What you got there, kid?" And he eats it. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I love that. That was so good."
And it was a nothing thing, you know.
No, yeah.
But look at us, you know, 20 years later, and it still sticks with us.
Oh yeah.
You know, that just goes to show you the writing and the people behind that. They so knew what they were doing.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, great show. So. Unless you've got a B and an A again.
No, I won't make you suffer through that again.
We are down to your numero uno, sir.
Nice.
What is your number one?
Well, my number one, Fave Five for Bruce Campbell, is a little television show called Jack of All Trades. Season 1, episode 4, and the title of the episode is Once You Go, Jack.
1901, the revolution had been won, and Uncle Sam's favorite son had a job he needed done.
Which brought Jack to a lady, both beautiful and smart, who found his mix intriguing.
A scoundrel with a heart. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, there was never a leather-neck graver like down in Dragoon they see. Off the bold defense of Napoleon's attack, there ain't a French or pirate's rogue who don't know Jack. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, sail around the bloody world to defend democracy. And when you need a fighting man, you trust to watch your back. Just ask the bloke right next to you.
Damn right.
It's Jack.
And I tell you, I remember this show back when it first came on. If you remember it was part of that half-hour syndicated thing where you had Jack of All Trades and you had that other show, Cleopatra 2525.
I remember.
And they were both half-hour shows, and I think Jack played maybe first, and then Cleopatra was second. It was called the Back-to-Back Action Hour. That was the name of it.
Okay.
And to me, that character, Bruce plays Jack Stiles, who he's a American intelligence agent. It takes place in 1801 in a fictional island called Palo Palo. And I think the French have the island.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought this show epitomized everything that is fun about Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
I mean, he's funny, he's daring, he's action. He's playing off of Angela Dutch and Amelia Rothschild. And they have that whole sexual chemistry thing going on. It's everything he does well, all in one character.
Uh-huh.
And I just, that's why I picked this one as number one. And this particular episode, I kind of stood out to me because one of Jack's old flames, it's a character, her name is Kentucky Sue. And she returns and she's a real kind of Calamity Jane type character who she comes back and she proposes marriage to Jack. And it's really the only character I've seen in this entire series where she kind of keeps him on his heels. Because she's in his face and she's grabbing him and throwing him to the ground and she's real roughhousing with him. And he totally doesn't know how to react. He's out of his element. And I just thought it was really, really well done.
That's fun. So a little bit of honesty here.
Yeah.
I never liked that show.
Really?
I don't know why, but I have to tell you, the Autolycus never really dug him either. You know, and I don't know if it was just because of that one little subgenre that, you know, the time period. I don't know what it was, but I tried to watch Jack of All Trades and I never could get into it.
But it's super campy.
Yeah.
It's really super campy. And if you go into it kind of accepting that, and they do they have a lot of present day things that was happening in art was around 2000. They'll say things that are mention things that obviously was modern day, but they're mentioning it then. So they had all these little weird things, but yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Was that a UPN show?
No, I think it was syndicated.
Oh, okay.
So okay. Yeah, it was that and Cleopatra was both syndicated. So I remember it would come on Saturday nights, at least where I was at, around 10:30 or so.
Yeah. Was that around right before DS9 would come on?
Maybe. Yeah, it probably was.
I think I remember that because I remember seeing Cleopatra, like parts of Cleopatra, because it didn't come on till, I don't know, late, till like 11 o'clock or so.
Yeah. And because when I was doing research on those shows, I didn't realize this, but they said that both of those shows, Jack and Cleopatra, that they were the first American non-animated action series to be produced in the half-hour format since the 1970s.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was something I didn't know, but you know, everything's obviously an hour that was action related, and that was the first time since the 70s they had done that.
That's crazy. You don't think about it, but 30 minutes, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Well, that's a great one, man. Great one for you. At least.
Yeah, not for you, maybe, but for me, it was good.
Yeah, but I have known that you've always liked that show because I remember you talking about it quite often.
Well, you know what I really love about that? To me, it has probably one of the top 5, at least, theme songs, opening credit theme songs, where it's a riff on the Marine hymn and a couple other things. And when I was doing my research, they said that opening credits, it was up for an Emmy or whatever.
Really?
Yes. And it lost out to the West Wing opening credits.
Oh,
that it was so well, you know, and if you ever, I guess the opening credits of Jack of All Trades is amazing. That's one of the best done things I've seen in a while.
And those are on video now, on DVD?
Yes, it's on DVD. Yes.
Oh, okay. Cool. Cool. All right. Well, for my number one, I chose probably not just my favorite Bruce Campbell appearance outside of Evil Dead, but really one of my favorite movies altogether. And I'm talking about 2002's Bubba Hotep.
Oh.
I know you love this movie too, man.
Oh my God.
I mean, what can you say about this movie? It's so amazing.
Yes.
I mean, you've got the real Elvis Presley who switched places with an impersonator right before he died and loses all proof that he made the switch. You've got JFK, who's been shot in the back of the head, that they put a little piece of sandbag in and dyed him to be black. You've got a mummy who's walking around in cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, sucking the souls out of senior citizens' buttocks. Man, I'm telling you, this movie is all over the place.
How could I have gone from the king of rock and roll to this?
Jack, President Kennedy was a white man.
They dyed me this color. What we have here at Shady Rest is an Egyptian soul sucker.
Some kind of Bubba Hotep.
A mummy.
All right, man, let's go.
I love it. And I've gotten to meet Joe Lansdale a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I told him how much I enjoyed the movie. And he said they had been trying to get a prequel done, but I've never seen it taken off. It's Bubba Nosferatu.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was about some she-vampires or something.
Nice.
But there's so much to be said about this movie. One of the most amazing things is it revolves around Elvis Presley, yet not one piece of Elvis Presley music is in the show.
That's right.
I think Don Coscarelli said something like it would take half the budget just to get like one song, much less.
Oh, yes.
You know, but you don't notice that there's no Elvis songs. In the scenes where he's going back and showing when he used to be on stage and stuff.
Right.
Oh my God. He plays that role just so perfectly.
How would you like to have been on the original pitch meetings for that movie?
What?
Like the way you just described the plot. You know, you just walk in and say that and you just
So this is what we're going to do.
Yes. I need money for this.
And somebody gave him $500,000 to make this movie.
God bless that guy.
Yeah. You know, and when you think about it, $500,000, that's not a lot of money to make a movie.
No, it's not.
You know, but I did read where they used like a abandoned vet hospital, Veterans Affairs hospital.
Yeah.
So they were able to do, a bunch of that on the low. And a lot of the stars none of the stars really were, I guess, what you'd call huge stars today. This was Ozzie Davis's last movie, if I'm not mistaken, who played JFK. Yeah. He was phenomenal in this role. Interesting fact, both Ozzie Davis and John F. Kennedy were both born in 1917.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Wow, that worked out. Huh?
Yeah, that worked out. So I'm actually wrong. I went to check myself. It wasn't his last film.
Okay.
This was 2002, and he passed away in 2005 and did some episodes of Touched by an Angel and The L Word.
Okay.
So, yeah. But anyway, it was one of his last roles. But he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I loved the way that you got Elvis's room where he has to share a bed and it's so barren. And then you go to his room and it's like a small oval office.
Yes.
You know? And I just rewatched it this week to get ready for this. And there's so many little things in this movie. When you're in President Kennedy's room, he's got a little diorama in the back on a table of like the book warehouse and a little,
Oh my God.
Yeah. So many little things that made this movie my number one.
I remember getting introduced to, I don't know if you remember this, but you and Chuck introduced me to this movie. It was back. Oh my God. It was when I was doing Friday Night Magic. I was doing magic tournaments.
Yeah.
Be there late on Friday nights. And you guys came to Lake Charles and you had it on disc or whatever. And it was like,
probably the same copy I still have.
Yeah. And we sat there while I was running the tournament and we watched that movie and just had a ball.
Yeah. I remember.
That was so fun.
I didn't know that was the first time I don't remember not knowing it.
Yes, that was, and I remember the scene. It's near the end when they finally going to go to battle for the last time against the demons or the creatures. Yeah. And it's the scene. There's the long hallway shot, and they come around the corner, and JFK's in the wheelchair, and Bruce is in the white Elvis outfit, and there's slow motion.
And his walker,
dude. And his walker, and we just busted. We lost it. We were like, that's it. I'm in. That's the price of the ticket.
Yeah, that's right there. Yeah. And it's so amazing that Coscarelli, because he's famous for like the Phantasm movies.
Yes,
but there's so much humor and good humor.
Oh yeah.
Not fart jokes and stuff, but really good humor in this movie, especially when Elvis has got that little thing problem that they got to take care of.
Yes, exactly.
And then after he fights the little bug, Elvis gets a little of his mojo back.
That's right.
And he surprises the nurse, who I actually, again, I saw in this, didn't have a name, but it was an actress named Ella Joyce. And I keep thinking she was somebody else, so I remember going back to look it up.
God.
And then, of course, you had Reggie Bannister was in it, too. I think it was just 1 or 2 scenes where, he's the administrator. And then I was trying to remember, and I had to go back and look it up. You remember there were the 2 hearse drivers that kept bringing the bodies out one by one?
Right. Yes.
That was just hilarious, And so one of the guys was one of the 2 police officers in Final Destination.
Oh, okay.
You sit there for 20 minutes going, who is that guy?
Yeah, because it just came on one of the movie channels a few weeks ago.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, Bubba Holt. It was like MGM HD or one of those type of movie channels. And I was like, well, it was like 30 minutes in. I was like, well, I'm finishing this up.
Yeah. It is one of those movies for sure.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. That's a great one. I'm so glad we did this, man. I'm so glad. This was a lot. I've been waiting to do this for quite a while. I know we both love Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
And what a great way to talk about it and bring it up. So you had some very interesting ones, like I said, things that I didn't. I'll tell you, I don't know if you remember, but one thing that I thought was going to be on this list was going to be Moontrap. Do you remember that movie where it was him with Walter Koenig?
Dude, I've never seen that movie.
Really?
I've not seen that movie. I know what you're talking about. Okay.
I swore this movie was going to be on there, and I rewatched it, and I was just, man. I mean,
when was that?
It was in the 90s. He was super young, and I can't tell you what necessarily turned me off about the film, except I guess maybe the 90s were just that period where there were a lot of utilitarian backgrounds.
Yeah.
And, the robots that make it up kind of just didn't do, I don't know. It just all around it. I literally scratched it off and put nope next to it.
and you also had the enemy vessels.
The enemy vessels, yes.
Yes, I'm sure that didn't help much either.
No, and I'll tell you another thing that was going to be on this list that I ended up not doing was Ellen. And I don't know if you ever remember this show, but, Ellen DeGeneres.
Her sitcom?
Yeah, it was her sitcom where she owned a bookstore.
Yeah.
And then she ended up having to sell the bookstore. And I believe his character was called Ed Bullich or Bullrick or something like that.
Okay.
And I want to say it was near the end of the show. And he was like a complete jerk and found out she was gay. Yeah. And he was like a big homophobe and made it difficult. And she ended up quitting.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, I don't even want to watch this, because I don't want this memory of Bruce being a complete jerk,
Amazing. I never saw that. I saw some of those shows, but I never saw the ones that he was in.
Yeah. I think it was like Ed Billick. That was what it was called, Ed Billick. And he was only in 7 episodes.
Okay.
But I just didn't want it. And one other thing that I was going to put on here, but again, I watched it. Another 90s show. I don't know. But do you remember him on Lois and Clark? He played Bill Church Jr.
Oh, yeah, that's right, huh?
Yeah. You know what his dad's name was?
Bill Church Jr. the third?
No. It was Briscoe County Sr.
Oh, wow. I should have known.
Yeah, it was. Of course. So have you ever watched the Maniac Cop movies?
No.
No,
I haven't seen those.
Yeah, I didn't get to those before we did this, but to tell you the truth, it would have to be an incredible movie performance. I mean, for me to knock one of these things off, because
I understand.
Yeah, I mean, this was a hard list. It really was, because he's turned in so many great performances. I'm so glad that you brought up Fargo for sure,
yes.
Because it was small, but man, it's memorable.
Yeah, just because, just to be part of that show, just has to put it in a list. That alone,
Yeah, you are so right.
Oh, yeah.
I actually have a favorite character name that Bruce Campbell played.
Okay.
And it's just here in my notes. So he was in the Darkman movie from 1990.
Yeah.
His character was called Final Shemp.
Oh, that's right. I was reading about that.
Yeah, Final Shemp.
Yes, Final Shemp. Yeah, because wasn't that based on Shemp from Three Stooges?
I think it had to have been,
Yeah, because I think I was looking up trivia or background on Bruce, and that came up, that title of Final Shemp, and that had something relating to Shemp from Three Stooges.
I wrote that down when I remember looking at it. And the funny thing is, he played in a short back in the 70s, and he was called Shemp Malone, and the short was called Shemp Eats the Moon. So I'd be interested to find out what that story and what that connection is, because that can't just be a coincidence.
Yeah, I'm almost certain it had to do with the Three Stooges.
Yeah, and I can see him being a fan.
Yes. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm sure him and the Raimis and all those guys are,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Kev, this has been an absolute blast, man. I really thank you for coming on the show and for doing the work. And I'm sitting there, I could see you, behind you, man. The room there is really taking shape.
You like that, huh?
Yeah. It's amazing what 17 years of work can do.
Exactly. Well, I figured, if you're going to spend
$250,000,
yeah, if you're going to spend 20 years going to conventions and getting autographs and doing everything, you might want to maybe sometimes display it. So
that's what an interesting idea.
Yes, who would have thought? But I figured one day I'm gonna video the room and send it to you and Chuck so y'all could kind of see how I have it laid out. And,
that'd be cool. Or maybe one day when Corona is over, we can come and see it.
Yeah. So in about 5 or 6 years, you guys can come by.
Exactly.
Give you a tour.
Awesome. Like again, like I say, this has been an absolute blast. I cannot wait. I would like to now officially extend to you the invitation to do a Fave 5 X-Files.
Oh, I could probably do that right now.
You do that right now? Okay.
No, I can't. No, but I would. Can you block out about 5 hours for that?
I certainly can. I certainly can.
Because I could probably name you those 5 episodes right now. I'd probably have to have a 5-10 or something.
I was going to say you'll have 5A, 5B, 4A, 4B, 3A, B, C, and D.
I'll be putting the numeral pi in there. I would love to do that one.
All right. Well, I'm going to book it then. We're going to do Fave 5 X-Files.
Exactly.
I'd like to thank everyone else out there in the podcast universe for joining us for this episode of Fave 5 From Fans. We absolutely love putting out this show and will continue to release episodes every Friday. You can find us on the AOC Podcast Network at www.aoc.org/fave-5-from-fans. Or you can subscribe to the show via Apple Podcasts and iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbean, and just about anywhere you can get a podcast. Please take the time to rate and give us a 5-star review so more people can hear about us and we can grow the show. We'd also love it if you'd interact with us at Twitter, which is at Fave 5 From Fans. We also have a Facebook page, and we're on Instagram. We here at Fave 5 From Fans are excited to be part of the Slightly Irregular Podcast Network. You can find us at sipnet.us or on Instagram. The Slightly Irregular Podcast Network is a widely varied group of podcasters like the Terrible Terror Podcast, the Podcast from Another World, Dead End Radio, the Paranormal Activity Podcast, the Angry Dad Podcast, the Back in Time Podcasts, From the Wastes, and us, Fave 5 From Fans. So remember, folks, it may not be the best, it may not be the most popular, but if it's your favorite, then it's good enough for us. This is Hulk Boy from Hollywood, signing off.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Yum Yum Room. My name is Gene. My first number tonight is for a special little lady who's changed my life. A girl who's from this part of town. There's a girl in this harbor town, and she works laying whiskey down. They say, Lisa, fetch another round. She serves them whiskey and wine. The sailors say, Lisa, you're a fine girl. Oh, what a good wife you would be. Your eyes could steal a sailor from the sea. What a good wife you would be. But my life, my love, and my lady is the sea.